Hello everyone and welcome to CadoinkStudios. This is a game between DRG and GanZi. We have DRG spawning in the top right hand corner of Shakuras Plateau, and his opponent is none other than SlayersGanZi, spawning as the blue Terran. Did I say that right? I don't know if I said that right. DRG is definitely the red Zerg and GanZi is the blue Terran. Yeah, just go with that. So anyway, we are on Shakuras Plateau, and they will be spawning in the close air positions. So yeah, we'll see what kind of things they will have in store for us. I expect to see probably Mutalisks in close air, or they might be doing some sort of early pressure. We'll see. He is sending his Overlord to the left at this time to scout out that position. And someday when that little Overlord makes its long trek across the world, it will find the Blue Terran's base and hopefully not a group of Marines. So yeah, we'll have to see how that works out. We do have GanZi building a barracks down on the low ground. I suspect we'll see some sort of two barracks play. Usually when we see a player building his barracks on the low ground here, he's going to put down two barracks, and then he's going to take an expansion. And probably try to do some early aggression with those two barracks. In fact, we do see an SCV coming down at this time, and yes, he will plant down the second barracks. In the meantime, DRG is getting up his hatchery, doing the hatchery before pool. DRG is a player who likes to go 3 hatches right off the bat, especially against Protoss, and then he loves roaches. He just builds tons and tons of roaches. So we'll see if he goes for that same sort of thing in this game or not. But he is going to be scouting out this 2 racks play, and so he's going to try to harass this SCV, make sure it doesn't finish building this barracks. However, GanZi is good enough. He can run this SCV back when it's time and then pull him back to finish this barracks. And then he will be producing Marines, sending them across the map in order to try to do some early pressure. This hatchery isn't finished, and his spawning pool has just started. Actually, it's about halfway done, a little over. So that won't be done for another about 15 seconds. So this Marine isn't going to be able to do that much. It's just going to kind of poke and see what's going on. You see DRG is already pulling some drones off to make sure there's no bunkers being placed down and make sure this Marine doesn't get in and do anything. So he will force the Marine back. Actually, the Marine could die here. Yeah, drones are a little bit quicker than Marines, I think. Movement speed 2.8 as opposed to... He hasn't built another another Marine for me to check. But we'll see shortly. In the meantime, DRG still hasn't gotten any gas. This is very typical for DRG. He is getting some Zerglings up, and we'll be sending them across the map to see what GanZi is doing. Now we can check. Yeah, 2.25, so the Marines are just a little bit slower than the drones. GanZi, in the meantime, is putting down his expansion. This is going to be very good for him. He's also getting up this double gas, which he isn't spending on much. Going to be putting down yet another barracks. He will deny the scout by DRG with these Zerglings. DRG looking to put down a creep tumor, spread his creep around the map, probably gearing up to take a third eventually. I know DRG loves taking 3 bases quickly, and so we'll see how that works out for him. In the meantime, GanZi's actually pushing out with some Marines, and DRG knows this as his Zerglings have spotted it, and GanZi's just going to kind of juke him out and pull back, taking the watchtowers. DRG very active at looking at his minimap, pulling his drones back just in case, and sending his Zerglings back out once more. Just now taking his gas, in fact taking 3 of them at once. Probably going to be going for some sort of roach play. I imagine if he's going for a layer tech, he'd go for all 4 at once. And then he has a lot of queens as well. Has 3 queens in his natural, as well as 1 in his main. So he does like to be a little bit queen heavy with this. There's nothing wrong with that. And in the meantime, he's also getting a roach warren. So typical DRG stuff, getting his roach warren up, getting up his bases, macroing hard. This player can max out in like 15 minutes. It's ridiculous. So we'll see if he does that this game. GanZi doesn't have that much. He's not producing out of his barracks. In fact, he did get some factories up, and he's working on getting Blue Flame as well as double Hellions, so he will be able to produce Hellions 3 at a time. And this is going to do a lot of damage. However, these roaches will counter it pretty well. And he's also going to have Zergling speed up pretty soon. In fact, in the next 80 seconds or so, he'll have Zergling speed up and should be able to run away from the Hellions on this creep and then reinforce with the roaches. DRG being very active at just poking around, scouting the map, did kind of run into a little tiny ball of Marines. Managed to pick off a few of the Zerglings. However, they will be able to get up and try to look at the base again, but once again they'll be denied by these Marines. Yeah, so pretty typical stuff going on, nothing too out of the ordinary. We do have a Baneling nest going down for GanZi, for MVPDRG, Don Regu. Gonna be probably going for a Baneling bust. He knows that his opponent has a lot of Marines. He hasn't seen anything other than Marines. He will see these Hellions soon, and he will soon find out that going Roach Baneling is actually a really good choice. Roaches down onto this watchtower will see that this giant force of Marines and Hellions are coming in, so he's going to be running his Queens back as well as his Zerglings. He might want to put down a few Spine Crawlers even. And the Hellions come in to try to do some damage to the Queens. One of the Queens looks quite a bit damaged. He's going to need to transfuse that if possible. The Marines now here as well, and one of the Queens is dangerously low with 34 health. Really needs to be transfused, moving in with the Zerglings as well as the third Queen and some Roaches from behind. Very nice by DRG. He will be able to force the Hellions away and kill all the Marines. And so now GanZi's just going to have to run away and kind of scout around with his Hellions. But now DRG is going in for the big counterattack. His Roaches are moving in, and there isn't a finished wall here. He's just now starting these bunkers. I don't know where he moved his barracks to. He moved it up here onto the high ground to put that tech lab on it. And this might be bad for GanZi. We see that some Banelings are being morphed in the front of GanZi's base even more, as well as these Roaches, so he will be able to do a big Baneling bust, probably destroying these bunkers, if not a barracks or two. And GanZi doesn't have anything meaty, really. I mean, he's just now getting up his first tank and getting up siege mode as well. And actually his first tank has just now come out, and DRG is moving in with the Banelings and the Roaches. The Banelings moving in, a lot of them being killed off before they get to the bunker, but the rest of them making it. The bunkers do go down, and now GanZi is in a lot of trouble as a lot of Roaches and Banelings are in his base. GanZi trying to do as best as can to pick off the tank, which he does do. The Hellions are the only thing that's left, and Hellions are very bad against Roaches and Banelings. GanZi having to pull his SCVs off the mineral line to take care of this. This is looking very, very dangerous. GanZi moving in with the SCVs once more. It looks like he just might be able to clean up the Roaches. The Roaches falling to the mass amount of Blue Flame Hellions and SCVs. A few Marines coming into the fray as well as another tank coming in. So yeah, he will successfully be able to pick this off, but not before losing a ton of stuff. His natural is naked as well as his main. In fact, Roaches are continuing to do some damage, killing off workers. If we look at the units lost tab, it's fairly even, but DRG has 2 mining bases, as well as a third on the way, while GanZi only really has 1. So he will be going out for a counterattack at this time. This game is so back and forth. Moving his Hellions up, trying to pick off one of these Queens. One of the Queens does go down, but the Spine Crawler and the other Queen are doing a lot of damage. Going to be able to pick off 1 or 2 of these Hellions. Now Roach spawns trying to do the best he can do, but he's all alone. And so GanZi will have to pull back at this time as these Spine Crawlers, whoa, were just cancelled all at once. Some Banelings morphed in. I don't know if that was a good decision by DRG. He's going to need those Spine Crawlers, especially now that he has tanks. He's going to want to try to bait in any kind of Marine Hellion force into Spine Crawlers. He might even want to put some Spine Crawlers down on this low ground. Now he's moving out once again with his Banelings and his Roaches, but he does engage a siege, 2 siege tanks. It's very bad for MVPDRG. He's going to have to run his Roaches away. Probably going to be losing this one. 2 more come in to try to push him back, but there's just too much from GanZi. GanZi moving forward. He does have 2 siege tanks, so he will be able to siege up front and push into DRG's base. This is going to be very bad for DRG, as he did cancel those 3 Spine Crawlers earlier, just now putting down 1 here. Very nice positioning by it, maybe even wanting to have 1 here so he can pick off these tanks, but the tanks do siege at the low ground. GanZi does get his Marines and Marauders in, as well as the 2 Hellions. This is looking very bad for DRG as he's out of Spine Crawlers, only left with a couple of Roaches. By a couple, I mean like 15. But it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. He's pulling off the drones as well, moving into the tank fire, and deciding to pull back at the last second. The Roaches are trying to pick off this tank on the low ground. They will get it, but there's just too much from GanZi. Another tank comes to reinforce as well as more Hellions. A lot of Hellions on the field. Hellions will be able to pick off these drones really quickly, and the siege tanks and Marauders will do a lot of damage to the Roaches. And there goes all of his drones as well as the rest of his Roaches, trying to do a little bit of a push from behind, but this is not looking good for MVP. The hatchery does go down. There's the GG by MVP. Wow, just crazy game, back and forth by GanZi and DRG, only going to the 14-minute mark. So yeah, that was a very good game. I hope you enjoyed it. A few shout-outs. Number one, I'm doing an analysis series called The Diary of a Terran Player, and slowly working on improving that and making more episodes. So please check that out on my channel. The other thing is I'm going to be casting a tournament in May, and it's called SC2Clans.org. It's like a team league. So what you do is you just get a group of your friends together, and you just play StarCraft. Maybe once a week, hour or two a week, you get on the BattleNet, you're up against another team, and then play a couple games, and then you get points based on it. There's a whole rules are up on the website, so SC2Clans.org. You should check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Low stress. You can enter at any skill level. There's a prize, but it's not like super big, so you don't have to be stressed out about it. Just go, have fun, play every week, and then at the end there'll be a tournament, and we'll be casting all of it, and it'll be a lot of fun. So definitely check that out. I will be casting that with Boisterous, who is an incredible caster, so you should check out his channel as well. Boisterous SC2, you can put into YouTube or youtube.com /user/boisterous SC2. So yeah, that's all the shoutouts I have today. I hope you enjoyed this game. I sure did. It was a fun little Terran vs Zerg, and yeah, more StarCraft 2 games to come. See you guys later.